things get a little messy. Things get dirty. And we can look to Deepnest and we can find a lot of instances of that. We can find literally right underneath the dead villagers that are all just stacked up. Spiders clean this stuff, guys. They get rid of it. But once they're infected by a parasite wasp, they stop. And then they do something really unique. They spin a brand new web. They spin a brand new web that is influenced by the larva. It is chemically different than its normal web. And what is the purpose of this? But to make a cocoon. And that cocoon is where the larvae will hatch, and it will stay there, and it will pupate, and it will become an adult. Meanwhile, the spider dies. Here is the really interesting part of that. We know the Pale King's got some powers. And we know that once you die, you enter the dream world. And we know this from the Dream Warriors. So here behind me, we have what seems to be a monument, a memorial to maybe a dead ruler, guys. What if Hera's dead? What if that child she bore, we know that her and Hornet got to spend a very short time together. Why do you think that is? Because she had to immediately go into the dream, or because Hera was now sapped? Because this parasital wasp has literally had a kid with her. But that doesn't make sense, because we've been told it was a dalliance. But we have to remember that those who survive write history. And that would be a very bad look on the Pale King. So why would he openly admit this? We can literally see the betrayal. Well, let's start back. We can see the agreement between Deepnest and Hollownest. We can see where the workers came in. We can see where they were killed. And Hollownest was betrayed. It makes logical sense that the Pale King would get back at Hera. It makes logical sense that the Pale King would want to continue his lineage, as he's been killing his kids to create the vessel. We can show scientifically that there are parasital wasps who are literally named crown wasp, that the Pale King has and is known for his crown, who share the exact same similarities between their larval state and their adult state. We can show that those parasital wasps actually attack spiders and use them as host. Guys, Deepnest fell. The Pale King conquered this place. And he did so with tact. And you say, hey, is the Pale King really a parasital wasp? And I had to ask myself the same thing. Yeah, we were all lied to. I'm finding out there's a lot of that going on as we start looking at things that just don't quite make sense. But I had to ask myself, is the Pale King really a parasital wasp? So I went back to that evidence. I went back to Deepnest. I went back to his worm state versus his kingly state. I went back to those wings. I went back to the wasp nest that literally surrounds his queen. And I thought, man, those are pretty good thought. That's a pretty good thought process. Let's put it that way. That, yeah, he is. And then I started to wonder something else. Were there any more facts that I can show that, hey, the Pale King really is what I'm calling him now? And yeah, we can look to the entire fucking kingdom of Hollownest. Because his little, and I'm going to call this a stunt, his little stunt of giving Hollownest a mind and saving them from their primal instincts is bullshit, guys. Some parasitoid wasps actually use pheromones. And what those pheromones do, particularly in bee colonies, like we've seen with Vespa, is it makes those bees fascinated and it makes them more or less in love with that parasitoid wasp. And that's fucking huge because everybody in Hallownest loved this dude. They fucking erected monuments to him. They put his fucking picture everywhere. They literally made their own idols of this guy. An idol. They worshipped this motherfucker. And it's because of his fucking pheromones. Because they didn't know any better. Because when he showed up, the air changed. And we've heard this line many times. When the infected crossroads change, Elderbug says there's a stench coming up from the well. He's smelling it. When we talk to Hornet, she says that there's a stench in the air. These bugs are smelling these things. These bugs are super aware of that. And if the Pale King was putting off pheromones, then he could very easily influence their minds or give them minds. They would no longer have their base instincts. They would serve a higher purpose. They would have a calling. They would be more like the Pale King because that's what those pheromones do. Is it makes them want to love this thing. Humans have pheromones, but bugs seem to be mind controlled by them. So humans do have pheromones as well. You're absolutely right. And actually that's kind of possibly something that we associate with love. So once again, a fucking mind control device, guys. Like the way your partner smells actually gets to you. Whether you know it or not, subconsciously, it actually changes the way you act and the way you behave. There you go. Another little fun tidbit. But guys, like when we start looking at this whole concept of Hera wanting a child and then mating, fucking the Pale King, that's a bunch of shit. Sure, the game tells it to us over and over and over again, but the game also told us that, the fucking Hollow Knight had arose and he was the savior. And we see how well that fucking worked out. It didn't. And this doesn't make any sense. And I challenge you guys, go back through the game and look at it yourself. Really try and think about why those structures are there and why all of this happened. And put those things that I've told throughout this whole fucking conversation, put them in there. And then start to see that puzzle come together that, hey, something's off. Something's off about this whole story. None of this made sense. And that was the part that really got to me during all of this, was I was going to talk literally just about Deepnest, and I was going to try and do Hera, and we were going to go into what people call the trilobite. I'm not so sure it is. I was going to go into all of that, and then I realized that no, like Deepnest is just a bed of lies. We have so much going on down here that we've only scratched the surface, guys. There's so much more to this. And we can look at the Stalking Devout, we can look at the Little Weavers, and we can analyze their dream dialogue. And they can say that they are for Hera, for the brood. Most of us probably know what a brood is. That's baby insects, guys. Like, they're going to hatch. They're going to carry on. But if they're for Hera and they're for baby insects, the brood to carry on Deepnest, why was Hera so desperate for a kid? And many people argue that, hey, she just wanted a god. She wanted that Pale King D. But why? That makes no sense. Hera's literally being worshipped. Look at the Hunter's Journal for the Stalking Devout. They worshipped her. Hera didn't want shit. Hera did not want the Pale King. That's obvious because she rejects him. She rejects his rule. She rejects the idea of her kingdom falling to another ruler. Hollow Knight Brood War, that would be fucking cool as shit. I would play that game. Somebody make that a mobile RPG, and I will push the shit out of it. Actually, yeah, I will push the shit out of it if you do that. She's literally been at war with fungal waste. She's literally been at war with the Mantis tribe. She has been at war with the Pale King. And now all of a sudden something changes her mind that, oh, I need to have this kid when I already have a brood. When I have all of these kids. When I have everything I need, when I'm worshipped. Suddenly something made her go, hey, I need that guy I've been fighting. And that's why I say, I think this is a lie. And I don't believe, going back to that stag station, I don't believe that was Hera riding the stag to come see the Pale King. That was the Pale King asserting his dominance and his rule into Deepnest. That was him riding a hidden stag station where our old stag doesn't know exists until we open it. How would he have ever known that the Pale King rode from that station to Deepnest? He wouldn't. And that's where our story is really interesting. That's where we can say, hey, there's a very good possibility here we've been lied to. And that the lore we know as truth is not. We've pointed to the only fucking caterpillar in the game. We've pointed to how parasitoid wasps can use them. We have pointed to a ruler that is now a dreamer who rejected the Pale King, who wanted nothing to do with any other kingdom for that fact and matter, who for some reason, unlike the other two dreamers, does not have a guard in place. We can point to all of these things and clearly make an intelligent and a well thought out argument here that this isn't history, guys. This is a lie. And I want you guys, and I mean this, I really want you guys to look into this one and tell me what you think. Because the more I got into it, the worse it got for the Pale King. The worse it seemed that the Pale King had done all of this in retaliation. Hera's not here by her own will. And we've all been lied to. And I want to thank you guys. Thank you very much for joining me with this one. I do apologize that I can't pronounce these scientific names. I will post all of them down in the comments. I will make a post of the board so you guys can see my thoughts. They're kind of all over, and a lot of this, you're going to see, like, I actually start writing in black, and then I switch over to blue for the whole last half of this, because I had to erase literally half my board once I started to go down this rabbit hole, because I thought once I'd found all of this, that, man, this shit's way too interesting to just do Deepnest. I need to really cover the Pale King with Deepnest, because he plays this super important role. If you bought all of that, if you believe this, oh man, I'm sorry you had to go. I love you too, dude. But I want to thank you guys. Like I said, I will put all of this down here. Go look at these amazing organisms that I just lightly touched on. Oh, also, if you're wondering, Pale King, how could he have fucking glowed? Like, wasps don't glow. So there's actually there's bioluminescent fungus that actually can be on them, and they can make them glow. Rare cases, yes. That could also be a gameplay mechanic, kind of just so that we can show light versus dark, or light versus light. In the case of the Radiance, we will get into the Radiance and the Pale King's relationship later. But guys, just realize that the Pale King is a foreign entity. He is a foreign monarch, if you will, and he's an invader. He did not come here peacefully. And that's been shown throughout the